Hello, you're welcome back. This is the second tutorial video, and in this video I will illustrate all the developments and enhancements I have done to create this MIS system. Like I said in the previous video, the main focus for me was to automate the system. But I also said it was not possible to automate the whole system, but whereby there was transformation of data, automation is possible. This is the newly developed system. So the first thing I want to mention and what I've done was the amalgamation of the separate documents into one single Microsoft Excel document. So as you can see, I have each step of the previous Excel system all amalgamated into one Excel document, all displaying down here on the separate tabs. Okay. By doing this, it removes the chance of human error occurring and also provides for an overall safer use of the system. Okay, so I aim to automate the extraction of the data that is necessary to fill the BOM from the room matrix into a separate sheet, whereby the transposing of this data could be possible. As I mentioned before, transposing essentially means the orientational change of a row or column of data. So the first thing I've done was to create a new sheet called transpose. As you can see down here at the bottom, transpose. So in this sheet, I have the three elements that I needed to extract, which was the product code, the product, and the quantity of each product. I have done this through a formula. Okay, so I had to conduct a large amount of research into how to automate the transposing process, and I came across a situation whereby an individual was applying this principle of transposing through automation using a formula, but it wasn't in the exact same context that I wanted to use it in. However, I knew it could be done, and I developed this principle and adapted it to my situation. So as you can see here now, this is the formula that was required to extract information from the room matrix sheet and bring it into the transpose sheet, whereby the information which was previously going in the cross direction is now going in the vertical direction, downwards. So this is all good and well. As you can see in this example, I only have 23 products in this example. But I want this system to work for every project. So during the interview with the case study, I asked a question as to what was the maximum quantity of products ever made in one job. The answer I got back was roughly around 200 products was the max that they could think of. With this in mind, I decided to over-exaggerate this answer and apply it to my situation, whereby the system could be used for every project. So I made this system to work up to 1,000 products. Okay, so as you can see, this formula is looking back to the room matrix sheet, looking at F2, the cell F2 to the cell ALQ2. So we just go back to the room matrix. So it's looking at F2, which is just the first cell with the product code, and then it's looking all the way across then to the cell AQL2. I won't go all the way across, but I can assure you it is 1,000 columns across there. Okay, so that piece of coding is going all the way across, so that when products are entered after this one, for example, I'm just going to put an X here and X again, it will automatically update in the transpose sheet. And as you can see, X and X have automatically come into the sheet. So I'll just get rid of that again for clarification. So now I have done various testing and rigorous testing with this formula and trying to see would it break or crack in any way, shape or form. But no, it works perfectly every time and updates every time with any additional products entered in up to 1,000 columns across. Okay, so this part of this part of the system, or the step that they had to do whereby they used to copy and paste over the data, has now been rectified and now automatically extracts information and transposes it. I also have locked this sheet. So what I mean by locked is that I put a passcode so that no one can try to edit the formula that I have created for the system. This is just to keep the system working perfectly and to prevent anyone from actually messing around with the system. So if someone does try to just say change this formula, I just type anything, an error comes up saying that the sheet is protected, and it's only in read only as such. Okay, so that's the transpose part of the system, or this part of the system completed. Next, I wanted to automate the fulfillment of this data into the BOM. So I tried to do this through various attempts of trial and error with this development of the system. I wanted to automatically add in the five spaces under every product in the case other additional information was needed to be added for a product. Like I said in the previous video, a headboard might need an extra bracket to be ordered in, etc., etc. So by having these five spaces automatically come in underneath every product, it saves time for the operator, as they do not have to manually right click and insert a new row and then do another further process of dragging down the formulas along out here, drag them down so that they fill into this additional row that has been added in. But unfortunately, this wasn't possible to do all this in the one sheet, in the BOM sheet, as there is too many complications occurring with the coding. Now I mentioned coding, but I'll get back to it in just a moment and explain what I mean by coding. So to complete this automation, another sheet was required and created called formatting, as you can see down the bottom down here. So within this sheet, I have automatically added in 5 separate rows underneath each heading, as you can see, 5 rows. I have done this through coding, like I said. Now, this has been typed up in an additional supplement within Excel. It's an advanced feature within Excel. So this advanced feature is called Visual Basic. Okay, so I'll just show you now where you can get it. So it's in the Developer tab. It's not normal. Developer tab is not normally in the Excel. You have to add it into the ribbon. But in the Developer tab, you can see at the first tab it says Visual Basic. This is where you can type up your coding. So I just click there where we can see the coding for this sheet. So as you can see, I'll just minimize this a bit, but we can see that I have 3 different pieces of coding for the sheet. So the first step was to bring in the data from the transpose sheet, okay? So within this transpose sheet, I want to bring in this data exactly the way it is laid out right there, okay? Then I wanted to apply the 5 spacings underneath each heading, which was another piece of coding I had to type up. And then in the case of an error happening and I wanted to reset the system, I created just a reset button so that the system can just be reset and I can edit with each one in whatever way I wish. But just back to the Visual Basic. So as you can see here, I won't delve too deep into this as it can be very tough to look at. It's not very visually pleasing, but just showing you what I've done is just typed up this coding, which essentially will do what I'm telling the sheet to do with the click of a button. So when this coding was created, a button had to be just a shape, or a button had to be created for this piece of coding to be implemented onto this button. So when this button then is clicked, it allows for the activation of the coding to be authorized, and it will then work essentially. So I have also applied a lock to this sheet as well, because I didn't want this sheet to be messed around either, as when I done some testing and validating of this sheet, this bit of automation I've developed, there was slight errors that came up with it. So I have added in preventative measures within the coding to stop these errors from occurring, but the only preventive measure that I can ensure this error wouldn't occur with every project was just to essentially lock the sheet. So I'll just unlock the sheet so I can show you exactly how the each three steps that I've done for the coding. So first of all, like I said, I want to bring this data exactly the way it is laid out there. So I'm going to autofill the data. So as you can see, the data comes in exactly the way it is and exactly laid out. No spacing has been applied yet. Now, these green boxes, it is an error within Excel, but it's not an important or crucial error. It essentially just means there's a different bit of coding for every cell there. So within the column, there's different coding for each cell. That's why it throws up an error. But it's not a major implication that will stop this coding from working. So then I wanted to add in the 5 spacings in between each one. So then I added the coding for this into apply spacing button. And when this is done, it applies the 5 spaces in between each heading. Automatically done. Like I said, in the case of an error or anything like that, anything going wrong, I put in a reset button, which essentially just deletes the whole lot and resets the system. So like I said, autofill the data, apply the spacing, and reset. Now, the great advantage to this is that once this has been activated and locked, the system will always work. It has been protected this way that I will not have to I would not have to click these buttons. Once I've done this, when I've developed this system, I've activated these buttons. They will not have to be activated a further time when someone else wants to do a new project. So that's why I've locked the sheet completely. Now, so that's that step essentially done. And then I wanted just to bring these headings as they're formatted now into the BOM sheet. So in the BOM, I have done this through further piece of coding, and it's simply same process again, just to simply click off a button. Okay, so I've done this through another simple autofill piece of coding. So I just click there again, and as you can see, the heading, the product code comes underneath the product code column. The product comes underneath the product column, and also the quantity comes underneath the quantity column. As before, like I said, there was 3 separate copy and pastes that had to be done, because the way they extracted information from the room matrix was not laid out like this. It had the actual product first, then the product code, and then the quantity, all in three columns lined beside each other. So then when this is copy and pasted over together, the product was underneath the product code column, the product code was underneath the product column, and then the quantity was underneath the supplier's column. So now I have automated this so that it comes underneath the correct column in the same row perfectly every time. Now, then when I was throughout the duration of the interview, I asked the case study, did they have any recommendations that they would like or any features that they wanted to implement into the system or make sure that it stays within the system. And one of them was to have these headings all highlighted so that they stand out if any additional products are entered in. So I've done this color coding formatting for each heading through another piece of coding, and this has been added to the button apply color. So when I click this button, it automatically applies the color to each heading all the way down the sheet, like I said. Okay. So that's essentially it. I've also applied a reset button so that the system can reset it in case any errors occur. But it's simple two-step process again, autofill it and apply the color. Essentially, I had actually successfully automated any transformation of data that occurred previously between the room matrix sheet and the BOM. So now the system essentially worked very well. I sent it up to the case study to conduct some testing with them and see if they came across any errors. There was a couple of minor issues, but they weren't really issues as such. There were more further developments they wanted to do in the system. And one of them was the extraction of the products for each supplier into the purchase order sheets. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to complete this automation process, but it is in my future aims to complete this whole system fully. But another additional feature they wanted to have in was a drop-down list for the product. So I'll just show you where these drop-down lists have been generated. So there is a separate tab called data, just additional data that had to be entered in. So basically, underneath items, they will have, furniture, electrical, lighting, fixings, etc. Different categories as such, like mentioned here. So you have furniture, seating tables, stone, hardware, lighting, upholstery, metalwork, electrical, sanitary ware, and fabrics. So these were basically the categories. So then when in the BOM, when they drop down list and they select category A, which will be furniture back in the data here, when this is selected, then only the furniture suppliers will pop up. So when we drop down list, we can see only the A, B, and C will pop up over here. Then we can select C and D the whole way along, but essentially when this item has the category item selected, the supplier link, we drop down list here, and then that can be entered in. I've also added in drop downs for the UOMs and also the status of the project to be improved, to be confirmed, or cancelled, and also the wastage associated with the product. So that's the Excel sheet, the MIS system I have created for this furniture company within the Irish furniture industry. It has been a very successful project for me personally, as I have learned how to conduct an automation within Excel, and to this day, this system now is currently in operation within the case study and is working successfully. So this can be deemed to be a very successful project, and I'm very happy of the overall outcomes that I have done with learning outcomes as well as the implementation of the system into the case study. So, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it and understood this tutorial videos of how the system works. And that's all I'll say. Thank you very much. Cheers.